Welcome back, and you're watching Market Fatafat on ET. Now, let's keep it going with all the stocks that are buzzing in trade, either on the back of news flows or on the back of technicals. And the next stock today that is in focus, that is Brigade Enterprises. It's buzzing in trade after we have seen a note that is actually coming from ICICI Direct, where they're maintaining a buy rating given a target price of 745 rupees per share. They believe that the strong launch pipeline is something that will be driving the sales momentum ahead for the company. And also, they are highlighting that given the robust residential volumes traction, as well as the outlook that was led by the strong end-user demand as well as new launches, that will be something that will be supporting the growth for Brigade Enterprises, and strong balance sheet as well, that is a positive for Brigade Enterprises. Other than that, ICICI Direct expects sustained recovery in the commercial leasing as well as hospitality to drive the overall traction in terms of stable cash flows and growth momentum for the company. That is why that buy rating is what they're giving for Brigade Enterprises, and a target price of 745 rupees per share. Look at the stock, it's trading with gains of more than 6% as of now.
All right, moving on, let's talk about New India Assurance. In fact, before we talk about New India Assurance, let me bring on board Kunal Rambhia to take us through the technicals then. Good afternoon to you, Kunal. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And firstly, let's talk about New India Assurance then. On the charts, how is this particular counter looking like to you? Do you think that this is a safer bet to invest in? Because, maybe personally, whenever I have seen the chart of this particular counter, it sees a lot of intraday volatility, isn't it?
Absolutely. Very good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for having me on the show. So if you look at the overall formation, the counter is going in uptrend since pretty long time, and today it has given the follow through on the breakout. The breakout first came actually on 22nd of August, and today is the follow through, and you can see today it actually kept up open and still continuing in the positive territory. So yes, it's a perfect bet for positional trade. One can initiate a buy on the same, stop loss being 127. I think now this counter is ready for 145 to 150 mark very soon.
Moving on, let's talk about Bajaj Finance, because there was a management meet, and post the management meet, CLSA that came out with a note on this particular counter where they are saying that they are maintaining a buy stand. The target for the company is set at 9,000 rupees per share, substantially higher from where the stock is currently. They're saying the company is witnessing good growth. The demand during Onam has been pretty strong for the company. Also, they're saying weak monsoon in August could result in some rural demand pressure in Maharashtra as well as Rajasthan, and maybe that commentary also did not go down well with the street. Asset quality trend remains strong for the company, but management is trimming 10% of disbursements in their unsecured loan. Also, they are expecting the company to reap some benefits of the liability side with the exit of HDFC from that particular domain. Also, the key clients' questions were around liability management and the impact of Jio Financial and the bank transition as well. What CLSA is saying, that Bajaj Finance is well poised on growth and profitability for the medium term. It's well placed on liability management for the foreseeable future. But the stock, as you can see, after starting on a very positive footing, right now giving up all of these gains. In fact, at the day's lowest point, that's Bajaj Finance for you.
Let's move on to the next one. And Kunal, ITC is making your list again. And this stock, obviously we all know it had seen that sharp run up. From the meme stock, it became one of the most loved stock. But in the last 1 month, specifically after touching that 499 levels, it's come down a bit from those levels. Do you think again it's going to have those subdued moves that we had seen coming in for ITC before, or should we expect a run up?
So no, my way of looking at the counter is always the counters which are either in correction or making the consolidation phase, bottom out phase. So if you look at ITC, right from 500 it came down to 435. The first bottom was made on 18th of August and the low was 438. In fact, you check out today's price, the low was 436 and right now it's trading at 438 again. And on the intraday charts, we are seeing some good volumes happening near to this support, and there is a long trend line right from the bottom of 2020, which is exactly coinciding with the present levels itself. So yes, it seems to be a perfect risk reward ratio on the counter. One can initiate a buy, stop loss being 433. I think this seems to be the bottom, and from here if the counter reverses, the first target can be 465 to 470.
Alright, so that's the take coming in on ITC. Ankita, Uno Minda, why is this particular stock in focus?
Cheryl, Uno Minda is in focus today on the back of a note that the DAM Capital has come out with, and they have initiated a buy on the counter with a target price of 705 rupees per share. Now they feel that the premiumization play for the company is on, and the content addition on the back of regularization and upgradation will be a big positive for the company. They also feel that the EV specific products will be aiding the revenue growth for the company going ahead, and the product mix and better utilization to expand margins will drive the profitability further. Now they also expect its strong outperformance over the industry growth to continue over the next 4 to 5 years, and on the back of that they have initiated a buy on the counter, and on the back of that Uno Minda is going to be in focus today, even though it has cooled off from day's high as of now.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. And Kunal, you've picked out emphasis for us on the charts. So how is this one looking like? What are the indications now you're picking up? Last couple of months we've seen that the stock has actually picked up some momentum. Is that here to continue?
Absolutely. We had discussed about this counter near to 2100 kind of levels because there was a first breakout. Since then, this counter is just in positive territory, and in fact today also it made a new 52 weeks high. It's a perfect trending counter. One can keep accumulating this counter. The positional stop loss on this can be 2350. Buy at the present level, even if it comes down by 2.5%, one can initiate a buy again. The positional target for this is now at 2675, followed by 2800. So yes, it's a trading as well as investment bet of emphasis now.
Alright, so that's Kunal's take coming in on emphasis. But Harsh, let's talk about Coal India and what's exactly happening in Coal India.
Well, operational updates coming through, and you can see the stock a buzz on the back of that. Let's talk about production first off. Production rose 13% year over year. It's come in at 52.5 million tons of coal production in the month of August 2023. You also had supply rising to 59 million tons. That was a stronger growth, 15.5% with regard to supply. Let's also talk about the April to August period where coal offtake has now been at 305.5 million tons, which is an 8.5% growth over a year, and it continues to rise. So on the back of that, you can see on the back of stronger numbers, Coal India up 4.5%.
Move on and talk about IDFC First Bank. Why is this one in focus? Because on Friday we saw a block deal that actually happened where Cloverdale Investments sold around 27 crore shares, 27.86 crore shares to be precise, via a block deal on the BSE, and that was around 4.2% stake in the company at a price of 89 rupees per share, and the value of the transaction was 2,480 crore rupees. Now when you look at it, GQG Partners has made an investment in overall IDFC First Bank and has emerged as one of these buyers. When you look at it, GQG Partners has acquired a total of 17.6 crore shares, which is nearly 2.6% stake in IDFC First Bank via two of its funds. So yes, keeping an eye out on IDFC First Bank after one of the buyers is GQG Funds. And other than that, we have Goldman Sachs, which has also bought some shares in the company. So keeping an eye out on IDFC First Bank today, holding on to strong gains of 4%.
Alright, that's IDFC First Bank for you. But Kunal, Wipro, how is charts looking for Wipro to you? Do you think that Wipro would be a stock that you can take a bet on? Last 6 months, 9% uptick coming in for Wipro. Best place to gain the most among the large cap?
Being honest, this counter we had discussed somewhere in the mid of July, and that time the counter was making a highs and it was at near to 418 to 20. So that was the first breakout. Since then, I'm holding on to this counter. On my view, the counter was very much sideways, but with the positive bias. And what we are witnessing in last 2 days, including today, the counter actually gained a significant momentum. Today also it's up by 3.5%, making 52 weeks high. Now it seems to be a perfect breakout again. So if someone is holding, hold on to it. If new position has to be created, this is the level to watch out for. The stop loss will be 420, and the targets can be 445 as the first level, and 465 can be the next level.
Alright, so that's the take coming in on Wipro. Let's shift focus and let's talk about not one but two counters in a row. And one would be ICICI Bank, the other one would be ICICI Lombard. And why both of them are in focus in today's trading session is the fact that ICICI Bank has actually received regulatory approval from IRDAI, and this in order to go ahead and increase its ownership stake in ICICI Lombard. And on back of that, you can see the stock is actually buzzing in trade. So they've got an approval to actually hike the ownership stake in ICICI Lombard by an additional 4%. The bank can increase the stake in the insurance firm through one or more tranches by August 31st, 2024. So on back of that, you can see ICICI Lombard perked up in trade today, 1.5% uptick.
But let's keep it with the financials, and Venugopal Gare, the managing director at Bernstein, believes the financial story is not yet over. Listen into what more he had to say on the financial sector.
As far as financial sector is concerned, I don't think the story is over. I mean, this is after a long time. We have visibility on credit growth, which could last for a few years. Decent credit growth. And, credit quality, which is essentially very, very strong. And I also believe digitization is going to be supportive to the financial sector rather than being disruptive. All of that is in place. And I don't think these stocks have essentially done well as well. And they're not changed too much. They're not too costly as well based on the kind of growth profile that we expect over the medium term. Yes, they could have, those tactical issues around NIM, around rate changes and all. But I think actually that is priced in. So that's the way I look at financial sector. I think the story is not over. In my view.
All right, let's shift focus and let's put the spotlight on the auto space. Eicher Motors, Ankita, why is this one in news?
Well, Cheryl, this one is in news on the back of the sales number that have come out. Now, the Royal Enfield's total sales for the month of August stood at 77,583 units, which is a rise of 11% on a year-on-year basis. And last year, this number stood at 70,112 bikes. Now, this number beat the street estimates, the expectations of the analysts, and even the export number has seen an increase of 13% to 8,190 units for the period, and that also beat the analyst expectations. And then on the back of that, the stock is in focus. It is up more than 0.5% in trade today.
Let's move on and talk about Shree Renuka Sugar on the charts then. And Kunal, what are you picking up in terms of the indications on the technical levels? And in the last, today when you look at it, the stock is also buzzing in trade. It's up 7 to 8%. Last 6 months, subdued in terms of growth. So what is the indication now?
So actually, if you look at the overall formation, yes, rightly said by you, it's in sideways consolidation. In fact, it tried crossing 49 mark multiple times, almost 5 to 6 times, but it was a failure. And we had discussed about this counter at around 45, 47 also, and we were waiting for this breakout to come, and that breakout is seen today. The counter is up by almost 7.5%, 8%. This seems to be the perfect breakout. One can start buying at this level, even on decline till 49. The stop loss can be 47. I think this counter is now ready for 58 to 60 levels very soon.
All right, so that's a review coming in on Shree Renuka. Harsh, Lemon Tree, why is this one in the spotlight today?
Lemon Tree largely on the spotlight because, they've signed a license agreement for an 80-room property in Dehradun. Of course, Uttarakhand is the state in which they've added presence. The property goes live in Q3 of FY25, so some way to go before that. And it's going to be categorized under the brand of Lemon Tree Premium. So that's where it stands. Of course, it's got a lot of amenities within the hotel are available. And the stock, which was up earlier in trade today, has now lost some of that steam. In fact, it's down 0.5% in trade. But of course, always good to continue to add to the number of hotels that they have currently.
Absolutely. Let's move on and talk about BHEL. And Kunal, everyone has seen this up move already run up, and that 85%, almost 80-85% uptick in the last 6 months itself. What is it that one should now be doing with BHEL? Should one actually start to look profits, or are you expecting a further run up?
So, if you look at the weekly chart of BHEL, the first breakout came at around 90s, and after that, there was a sideways consolidation for a couple of weeks, and then we saw a significant uptick in the last week, and that was almost 25 to 30%. So, from here, I foresee the counter getting into either sideways consolidation or continuing with the positive bias. The positional target on this can now be placed at 170 levels, followed by 185. But yeah, it's on the weekly chart, so one needs to have, kind of holding capacity. But at the same time, the trailing stop loss on this counter can now be at 115. One can keep accumulating till the time counter remains above 115 with the target of 175 to 185.
Okay, keep an eye out on those levels for BHEL. But let's move on, talk about Midhani and why is this one in focus. Now, first was in terms of ISRO and what happened over there in terms of the Chandrayaan. There were a lot of companies that were involved in that as well. Now, we have Midhani who is saying that they actually supplied critical material to Aditya L1 launcher vehicle, and Midhani's critical materials have been used in the launcher vehicle, the PSLV C-57 and many more components that were supplied and actually given by Midhani. So the launcher was built with Midhani's critical supplies and materials that they're given. A lot of the materials are supported and given by them. So on the back of this, given that they had this order also coming, we're seeing that Midhani or Mishra Dhatu Nigam that we're seeing is buzzing in trade, up with gains of almost 2.5% as of now as well.
All right, moving on then, Swaraj Tractors, which is owned by Mahindra Group, has actually launched new range of tractors today in the 40 to 50 horsepower category. The prices for these tractors are starting at the price of around 6.9 lakh rupees for 42 horsepower for base variant, going up to 9.95 lakh for the 50 horsepower for the top end model. My colleague Sumit Chaturvedi caught up with Hemant Sikka, who is the president of farm equipment at Mahindra to know more. Listen in.
This is a new series of tractors that we are launching in 40 to 50 HP segment. As you can see, the styling looks all new. We have LED lamps, we have a new grille. The whole styling cues are common from old Swaraj, but the styling looks very new.
Tell us about the pricing and the other features, the power, the performance that makes them unique tractors in this class.
On various HP ratings, the pricing will be different. It starts from 6.99, goes up to about 9 lakhs.
And talking about the overall market of the tractor and farm equipment, how has been it so far? What kind of growth you are seeing now in the coming few quarters?
The tractor industry this year is so far, the data which is out till YTD July. The tractor industry over a very large base of last year has held up very well. We are expecting the industry to continue to do well and maybe expect a growth of about low single digit in this year.
And talking about the recent rains that were there, some of them were erratic, some parts are still not covered. Is that a cause of concern, the erratic monsoon?
A monsoon, plays a very critical role in farming. So monsoon directly impacts certain cropping cycles. But what we have seen good thing this year is that because of very good rain that we had till the month of July, the sowing for Kharif crop has actually held up very well. So sowing compared to last year for all major crops is actually better than last year, except for pulses. So the sowing for Kharif has done very well. And now if we get little bit rain for the next 15 to 20 days, I think the Kharif crop is more or less secured.
And talking about some things like the coming festival season, do you think that this tractor is going to do well there in the coming festival season? And can you give us some background of the overall tractors, other competitor which will be competing with this segment?
We are very confident that the new Swaraj will do very well in this festive season, because as I was telling you that the styling is all new, it looks so fresh. Apart from the styling, we have also brought in a lot of product changes to this. For example, we have a higher cubic capacity engine, it's much more powerful, the torque rating has gone up, the fuel efficiency is better. We have come up with a new heavy duty axle. It has a side shaft, 4-wheel drive. So there are a whole lot of features that we are giving in the new Swaraj tractor, and with a very smart looking styling, and with Mr. Mahendra Singh Dhoni as a brand ambassador for brand Swaraj, I think these tractors will do very well, not only in the coming festive season but going forward in every quarter.
All right, moving on then, let's put the spotlight on MOIL, because that particular counter is the buzz in today's trading session. If you look at MOIL, it actually reached its highest level since Jan 2018 in today's trading session, saw an uptick of as much as 3.5% at one time, and is gaining for a fourth consecutive session. Why this particular stock is in focus is because they came out with their August production data, where they saw a jump of about 53% on a year-on-year basis, and if you look at the monthly sales, it has actually more than doubled. The company is seeing good momentum of high growth. They produced about 1.23 lakh tons of manganese ore in August, delivering the best August production since inception and registering a remarkable growth of about 53% that I said on a year-on-year basis. If you look at the cumulative production for the financial year up to the month of August, has been about 6.79 lakh tons, which is 44% higher on a year-on-year basis. So spectacular production data coming in from oil, and post that the stock is gaining for fourth consecutive session, hitting a highest levels since 2018.
For y'all, surely keeping an eye on that one. Let's move on and talk about Industowers on the charts then. And Kunal, what is the view on this one? It's not done anything exciting over the last couple of years itself when you look at it. Last 6 months, yes, seems like it tried to pick up some bit of a pace, just 10% return. So now what's the view on Industowers?
So, this counter we had discussed somewhere again in the month of June and July when it gave a first breakout at around 165. From there, it went to almost 180, again back to 160. There was a retesting of the breakout zone. And now this counter is trading near to 180 zone. So it seems to be a perfect higher top, higher bottom formation. Post breakout, this is the first higher top which the counter is about to make. So yes, it looks very attractive. It's a conditional trade right now. Let's wait for the counter to close above 180. Stop loss will be 174, and I think then the counter has the capacity to reach around 195 to 200 levels, and we'll keep revisiting this counter because it seems to be a complete trend reversal on the chart.
Alright, moving on then, Ankita, let's talk about a pharma player, and that is Biocon. Why is Biocon in news today?
Yes, Cheryl, Biocon is in focus today, and it is on the back of the news that its subsidiary Biocon Generics Inc. has acquired Ava Pharma Inc., which is oral solid dosage manufacturing facility in New Jersey. That is, for $7.7 million. Now, the existing workforce for the facility will transition to Biocon Generics Inc. Now, this facility has the potential for capacity expansion of up to 2 billion tablets/capsules in a year. And on the back of this news flow, Biocon is going to be in focus today.
Let's move on to stock number 40 for today, and that is from the FMCG pack. And HUL, Kunal, that's the one you're picking out for us.
I like the excitement in your voice when you say HUL and FMCG pack.
So yes, I'm surely excited about that. But Kunal, what's the view on HUL? Because this one has, been very subdued in terms of performance in the last 6 months as well. Now, what's the view on HUL? Should we expect a good run up in this one?
Absolutely. Since July 2022, this counter is just been in sideways consolidation. The extreme bottom on this counter was seen near 2500, and on the higher side it has been till 27 to 2750 kind of levels. Now what you can see right now is on the chart, it's again back to those 2500 levels, which is its extreme low levels since last almost a year. Now this counter is near to that zone. Risk reward ratio is extremely favorable. One can initiate a buy at 2500. The stop loss on this will be 2470, which is 1.5% kind of. But from here, a mild recovery can be expected. Going forward, we can see the targets of around 2600, and if the momentum really picks up, then 2700. But for now, it's at the attractive risk reward ratio. One can definitely keep it in portfolio at this level.
Put in a portfolio at this level. That's the word coming in from Kunal on HUL. But let's move on to the next one, and we have Nazara Tech. This one is buzzing in trade, and why? Because the company is to issue shares of up to 100 crores to the Kamath firms, and company is to issue 14 lakh equity shares at a price of 714 rupees per share to Nikhil Kamath's firm. Now, Kamath's entity stake will increase from 0.7% to 2.7%. So on the back of that, today we're seeing Nazara Technologies is buzzing in trade after this news was confirmed, and it's trading with gains of around 10.24%. So let's keep an eye out on Nazara Tech.
Alright, that's Nazara Tech that is surging in trade today, 10% uptick, and that indeed was the last talk on this edition of Market Fatafat. Thank you so much, Samit, as well as Kunal, Harsh and Ankita for joining us on the show, and on behalf of Vinny and myself and the team that put the show together, thank you so much for watching us. Stay tuned, closing trades coming up next.